Alright, we're gonna head back to the kitchen today and make some bone broth. Pretty excited to make that with just some great fresh ingredients and one of our very chickens that we raised here and butchered ourselves. So we're gonna do this in the crock pot today because the chicken is actually so big that it won't fit into my Instant Pot. So we're gonna use the crock pot today and just cook it all day. So we have our crock pot is plugged in and ready to go. I'm just gonna put it on low. We have our chicken that we raised and butchered ourselves. We're just gonna put it in there. Now this one is frozen, so this will take a little bit longer than normal. We're just gonna put our chicken in there. So we're gonna add some fresh ginger. I had this left over from making some fire cider. So I'm just gonna, you can actually just put it in there like this, but I'm just gonna cut it up a little bit and add that to, to our crock pot. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of turmeric. You can basically add just about anything you would like to your bone broth. Anything healthy, any spices. We've got some Himalayan pink salt. We're just gonna add that to it as well. I'm gonna add in some peppercorns, about a tablespoon, and then we're gonna add some veggies. We have our scrap bowl here. I'm gonna go ahead and peel this carrot. I'm gonna cut off the ends, break it in half, and just throw it in the pot. So cut off the ends, break it, throw it in there so it fits. Next we're gonna add some celery. This is celery, this is just organic celery that I had in the vegetable drawer that was getting ready to go bad. So I'm just gonna cut the bad spots, the bad ends, whatever it may be off of it. And then I'm just gonna break these off and I'm gonna pitch them in the pot with everything else. May have to break these up a little bit to get them to fit good. Next will be our onion. You can take the skin off if you would like, but it's not necessary because you actually are just going to put the whole thing in there. And you're gonna strain this out. So I'm just gonna cut it again there that I have that and put that in there. All right, so the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and put water and we're gonna cover this. Or fill it as full as your crock pot will allow. I'm gonna add the lid to it and then we're gonna leave it for the rest of the day until either probably after dinner or late this evening, and we'll check it out. You want to wait until the chicken is completely done and actually falling off the bone. That will be the best because then it will pull out from the bones and you will get a wonderful, wonderful bone broth. All right, so to give you a kind of an idea of what it's gonna look like, this is probably not a great example, but it's gonna be very gelatin. It's not gonna be very, it's not gonna be real runny. So if you can tell, you've got some gel layer in here. I just pulled this out of the fridge. So you've got a little bit of gel in there, a little bit of gelatin, and that's actually pulled out of the bones. And that's what we want. We want all that goodness, and especially if it is organically raised, like we raise these chickens ourselves on grass and organic grain, and we butchered them ourselves, and then when they were placed directly into the freezer. So we know what is in them, and that's why I will make bone broth from them rather than a store-bought chicken. Like I said earlier, you can add any vegetables that you want to this, any immune boosting vegetables, any immune boosting spices, or anything that you like the flavor of. You can add that to it. You can add some cayenne pepper, whatever you want to make it a little bit spicier, or to add that in as an immune boost as well. This is really a foolproof recipe, and you can basically do it how you want it, what you have in the fridge. Kind of look and see, maybe you have some things that are gonna go bad before you use them. You can toss them in here, and then with the leftovers you can use it or feed it to your chickens, add it to the compost pile, whatever you'd like. It is the next morning. I did not get the bone broth done last night. We had our kids all together. We had a birthday dinner for our oldest son, So that kind of took priority. So this morning I'm headed out. You can come on out here with me. We're gonna feed the chickens, and then hopefully I'm gonna head back in and finish the bone broth. Chick, 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 chick. Chick, chick, chick. What are you doing? Seem too interested this morning. I think I like this wind. Oh, let's go and get some in here. We're trying something different this year. We're going to do kind of like a deep bedding. So I've got to get some more straw. I'm going to put some straw in here, and which will help for winter as well. All right, let's head back in. Did not wear my hat out today because I wore it out yesterday and lost it I don't know how many times because it doesn't have like a string to hold it on. So yeah, I decided not to wear it today. Probably should have worn my hair up though. That might be a bad idea if I'm out here very much because it is still quite windy. Not as bad as yesterday, but still pretty windy. All right, let's go get this bone broth put in some jars. We're gonna get this bone broth finished, and I'm gonna freeze some of it. So I'm gonna freeze it in these wide mouth jars so that if it does expand, it should not break my jars. But I have 3 of these left, and then I have a tall one. I think this is a 1.5 pint. And then I'll just put regular lids on them and put them in the freezer. And then I'm gonna put the rest in jars and put in the fridge. So first, we're going to get the chicken and everything out of there and put it in this big bowl. So I've got this big strainer. I don't know what this is called. So we're gonna try to carefully get this out of here because it will be falling apart. Gonna put that in our bowl, get all this goodness out. Now I will take all the chicken off the bone because it is going to come off really easily, and then I will take the vegetables and you can either cut them up, put them in soup, you could give them to your chickens, put them in your compost, whatever you want to do. Nothing goes to waste. Now I got the chicken out and all the vegetables. I'm going to go ahead and strain it one more time with a finer mesh strainer. Hopefully not make a big mess. We are ready to get this in here. I have found that measuring cups work just pretty good for me. You could use jars, whatever you have. So then we'll put this in here and then we'll put it in the fridge, and it should gel up like I showed you before. You can add this to soups whenever if it calls for water. A lot of times I will add it to my soup base just for an extra goodness. Bone broth is so good for you. It has that good gelatin in it. It has all the good properties for your gut. It's a great way to get collagen this year, and especially right now as it is going into fall and winter. It's just a great time to make some bone broth, to have it on hand, especially if you can find an organically grown, maybe grass-raised or pasture-raised chicken. That would be fantastic. This is made with chicken. You can do beef broth, bone broth. I haven't done that yet. I do have some beef bone pieces in the freezer that I bought specifically for that, so I am gonna try that. And these look pretty good. I think we'll put these in the freezer. We still have quite a bit though, so I'm gonna go ahead and get a couple of jars and put it in there and keep that in the fridge so I can use it here before long. I got a couple more jars. These are just regular canning jars with the regular mouths, and I will put these plastic lids on there and this metal one that I have, just because I'm gonna be using them in the fridge, so it's not gonna be that big of a deal. They're a lot easier to take off and on. So we almost got 2 quarts to put in the refrigerator. Put this on those. So we got about, let's see, 3 cups here. We've got 4 cups here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and a half cups of bone broth, which is great for cooking noodles in, putting in soups, making your own chicken noodle soup, or just having bone broth. Especially if you're sick or not feeling good, it would be great to have. I deal with diverticulitis, so broth like this is great to have on hand, especially if I know what's in it and it has healing properties, and it will help me and benefit me even more. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This is the first time me actually making bone broth with all the goodness, all the extra stuff in it. I usually save the broth when I cook a chicken, but I don't usually add all the goodness to it. So this will be especially good, and I'll have this frozen. I'll label this and put it in the freezer, and I will have it through the winter. And then I'll have this for soups probably next week. Bone broth is done, canned in the freezer and in the refrigerator. So now I have some goodness for soups and things this fall and winter. So now I can know that my pantry is getting stocked with some good stuff for this fall and winter to build our immunity and just to help our gut and just to help us stay healthy. If you enjoyed this video, I would love to know. Leave a comment below. Also, if you make your own bone broth, whatever you use, I would love to know what you use in yours, because a lot of people use different things. So comment below and share your recipe if you make bone